Aren't you afraid to be 10 meters away from a polar bear?
I'm more excited than afraid.
Etienne, Claret, expedition filmmaker, went and adventured around the world with some of the most impressive people like LeGrandJD, like Mike Horn. You were stuck 33 days in the middle of the Arctic.
We needed to figure it out ourselves because nobody was coming to help us. 3 polar bears came to the boat and were curious about what the fuck is a ship doing here in winter.
Aren't you afraid of like avalanches?
The main risk in Antarctica is not avalanches, but the crevasses, because you can fall and die.
National Geographics? You would be lucky to have it, Chad. Would it be something you would be interested in? I put you on the spot.
Tough question.
I'm super happy to finally launch this podcast. It has been incoming for a very long time. And a lot of people asked, where are you? Where have you been? Why are you not posting? And this is why. Because I've been not wanting to do what I was doing before and do something more authentic where I can express myself and connect with amazing people who can share their stories. So, this is officially episode number 2 of the Rich Inside podcast. It's been a long time that I've been wanting to do this podcast, and we have today a very special guest, Etienne Claret, expedition filmmaker. He's went and adventured around the world with some of the most impressive people like LeGrandJD, like Mike Horn, like Pat, who's not an adventurer but also a crazy adventurer. And Etienne, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
It's amazing because I not only know you as the crazy adventurer, but you're also a friend. And we've had the chance to work together. And when I hear those stories you talk about, I'm like, what the fuck? How do you actually do this? How do you get inside an active volcano and survive for 24 hours? How do you get stuck in the Antarctic for 33 days and survive? How do you shoot a sleeping polar bear from just 10 meters away? My question for you is, what drives you to do these extremely crazy risks? How do you do it?
So most of the time it's actually calculated risks. So it's not like as crazy as it might seem in the stories, but of course it's just, I think, the love of capturing amazing things that not a lot of people get to see. I'm like very, very fortunate and grateful to be able to live from my job, and it's just what drives me is to be able to access those places, document it in a way that's like barely been done before, and then just share it with my friends first and then with the rest of the world, hopefully.
I've seen some of the pictures you took, and there's a picture of the sleeping polar bear, which is actually in this book, and we'll show it in the video. But like, aren't you afraid to be 10 meters away from a polar bear?
I'm more excited than afraid. And when I said it's calculated, it's because you kind of feel those things, it's controlled. Like, we wouldn't go to a polar bear that's super excited and seems angry. It's just like he seems peaceful, so we go closer and closer, and if he stays peaceful, then we can just keep on going. And he fell asleep in the end, so it means that he didn't feel in danger, and us neither.
How did it feel like taking that picture just when he was in front of you?
It's amazing. I think you don't realize it at first, like what you're witnessing, because the polar bear is so special and rare that even just standing in front of one is just amazing, or seeing one from far is just amazing. And now having the opportunity to go closer and closer and closer is just a feeling that's not even, like, I cannot even describe it. It's just amazing. And then you see that picture, and I think it's when I edited the picture on my computer that you really realize like the moment that you just lived. It's hard to get it when you're living it. It's afterwards always that you're like, wow.
It's crazy. And this adventure you went on with Mike Horn, right?
Yeah, correct.
And you also had a crazy story where you were stuck 33 days in the middle of the Arctic. Tell us more about that.
So that was actually, it's quite a big story, but that was actually my first expedition, really. So I used to work with Pat, famous half-pipe snowboarder and musician, And then this led me to the opportunity to work with Mike Horn and his daughters. And then they called me basically when I was in Japan and said, Etienne, we know your work, and now Mike is leaving like to do his biggest expedition in 2 weeks. We don't have any filmmaker. Would you be keen to join and film it?
Uh,
And I didn't really think, because I knew that the opportunity was once in a
mm.
lifetime. And so I just said yes, and then figured out how to go from Japan to Switzerland to Alaska in the next 5 days, and then leave from Alaska to an adventure that I didn't even know really anything about.
Mm.
The brief was very not so detailed. It was very brief. But I said, yeah, just go. Like it's once in a lifetime, really. So I went, came back to Switzerland, changed my shorts for a big parka and a puffy jacket, and
Imagine
then
going to Alaska with shorts.
and then just went to Alaska to a small town named Nome,
No.
northwest of Alaska. And that's basically where I met Mike, where I saw his sailing boat, Pangaea, for the first time. And I didn't have much information still. So we went on the boat, we met with Mike and the rest of the crew that all came together at the same time in Nome. And like slowly, day by day, we had a bit more information. But you could see that the goal was very clear. So the goal was basically to bring Mike to 85 degrees north
Mm.
with his sailing boat and then drop him off so he could start the North Pole crossing on skis. So that was our goal. But the way to get there wasn't really clear, you know. It was, we knew that we had a boat and we knew the destination, but what's in between we didn't know anything about, really. And most of us never like sailed, or even less sailed in the ice. This is very specific. But that's one of Mike, I think, biggest powers, is that he gets to put together an amazing bunch of humans that aspire to the same thing. So it made it pretty easy, and like that's why we didn't think about it, because we knew that it was, everybody was amazing and wanted to reach that goal. So we were just getting there without really knowing, but we were gonna try and do our best.
And going there with Mike Horn, which is a crazy name and even a legend in the expedition world. How did it feel like having to drop him off, right? And then coming back and getting stuck. So what did you feel then when you got stuck? Was it like, oh shit, we're gonna die? Or was it more like, oh shit, we gotta figure this out or we die?
Yeah, it's more like, of course we needed to figure it out ourselves, because
Mm.
nobody was coming to help us.
Mm.
But then at the same time, it was, you know, it was a silly situation, but it was safe in a way, where the boat had enough fuel, so it was more or less warm inside, and there wasn't really any danger because the boat was ice resistant, so we couldn't sink or anything else. It was just a matter of staying here for a month or staying here for 5 months and go out after winter. But basically, the story is that we dropped off Mike.
Yeah.
So this was a success. 2 weeks sailing in the ice, uh, like a maze, with an amazing crew. Someone was on the mast shouting the direction to the guy like driving the boat, and crazy conditions. So we went through the ice during 2 weeks to drop Mike off, and then out of the ice, and then sailed halfway around the world to Svalbard.
Mm.
2 more weeks. Then I came back home 2 months, and then went back to get Mike at the end of his expedition, which was, I think, the toughest he's done. So we needed to basically go to him more or less, so that he could get back on the boat and then back to the normal civilization. And that's in that part that we had some trouble, because we went into the ice, but it was December, so it's beginning of winter. The ice is getting thicker and thicker and thicker, so it's very hard to just sail in the ice. It's fully dark, no lights. So it's very hard, and especially because the ship we had wasn't an icebreaker. So
Mm.
it breaks a bit of ice, but it doesn't break like 5 meters of ice.
Uh,
So as soon as you encounter 5 meters of ice, then you're basically stuck.
shit.
The ship is just like on the ice, but it
Mm.
doesn't. There's not enough power to still go. So that's what happened to us. One time, then we got out. Two times, then we got out again, and then we kept on going. But then suddenly it was 8 meters of ice. So
Wow.
the ship was just standing on that ice, not enough power to go out, and basically the only solution was to break the ice around the boat to hope and loosen the pressure a bit,
Mm.
or wait. I mean, both at the same time. We had to wait and
Yeah.
break the ice. So we just started like every day, go out, break the ice around the boat, and then sleep, and then go out the next morning. And the ice in the Arctic is really like a treadmill, so it moves all the time.
Oh shit.
So the work that we've done the past days, most of the time would be uh, like closed again, because the ice, like the ice would collide and then just bring more pressure to the boat. But we kept on going, breaking ice, breaking ice, breaking ice each day. And we're starting doing bigger and bigger trench every day to reach the water, to help and loosen the pressure a bit. And then 33 days later, it finally worked.
And what happened on the 30th day? Because it's pretty impressive what happened and then how you got out. Because I know the story, I've heard it, but for the people that didn't know, what happened that's so magical about the 30th day?
So we ended up spending Christmas on the boat, which was very, very weird for all of us, because it was supposed to be only 5 days more or less.
Mm.
So 2 days in, take Mike and Borge, and then 2 days out. So it was now 30 days later and still here. So we spent Christmas there with a bunch of humans that didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And then there's a very special thing that happened, is that there's three polar bears that came to the boat. Mom and her two cubs came to the boat and were just curious about what the fuck is a ship doing here in winter. You know, they don't see ships in winter. So they stayed around the boat for like 2-3 hours. And it was so close to us again, maybe 10 meters. And we were totally in a safe space, because the boat is like 5 meters high from the ice. So we could just stare at them. They were staring at us. It's so special, because again, it's a moment that it's impossible, to witness that kind of moment. It's impossible to live that kind of moment. And being so close in a, outside in a situation like this, and we perceived it as a sign of hope, because
Yeah.
we didn't see anything for 30 days. There's nothing to see. It's only ice and then dark. So that was the first thing that we saw, and it was just amazing.
I love the fact I was reading your book, Fire and Ice, which is a great, great, great book about all your adventures across 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And you said a quote that really impressed on me. You said, when you're in the middle of nature, like the Arctic or like Antarctic, where there's literally less humans, which usually means more peaceful.
Yeah.
But where you're in pure nature, that's where you uh, really find peace.
Hmm.
Why did you say that?
I think it's because, so first, and I think that's the most obvious, is because you don't have internet access. It might be, cheesy, but it makes a big difference, because I feel like as soon as I left for those kind of places, it's like if you don't have any problems anymore. It's like you just go, and your only aim is to live that adventure. There's nothing else that matters. It's just go there and live the adventure, be present, and take everything that you can, because it's so precious. It's so tough to go there. It's so, like, what you're gonna live is so precious. So I think you get in that mental state that just says, just be here, that there's nothing else to do. So that's, I think, why I'm so peaceful when I'm there.
Yeah.
It's because you know that it's precious. So you don't. There's not any other solution either than being present.
I love that. I love that because in today's society, everyone is so anxious and so stressed and always on their phone. And me and Pat were talking about this that, like, holy shit, bro, when you delete Instagram and you actually live, life is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And you enjoy everything more. And you're with someone and you're actually with them. It's not like you're there and you, oh, okay. No, you're actually there and you listen.
Yeah.
And I think when you go in nature, you have no other choice but then to be present.
Yeah.
And especially in those extreme conditions where you're either in an active volcano and every moment counts, or stuck in ice in the middle of nowhere where if you don't get yourself out, then
Nobody's gonna do
so
it.
do you
for
feel like those
Yeah.
extreme conditions help you to be more present?
Yeah, definitely. Because as well, you have to be really involved and focus in what you do. So it takes all of your brain power in a way. So it helps for sure. Yeah. And I think coming back to what you said on Instagram, I think it's a tough balance for creators like us to find, because sometimes I want to delete Instagram as well. I did it a couple of times for some month, and then you feel guilty in a way, because it's like if you're missing out on that Instagram opportunity to grow and have more fans and blah blah blah. So it's I think it's a tough balance to find, like, how do you manage this?
It's like a double-edged sword because if you use it for good and you use it to inspire, like you do, like I do, like Pat does now, then it becomes like you're doing it for good.
Yeah.
But when you use it just to scroll and to mindlessly just, and it brain fogs you, and then you lose your focus, then here it hurts you.
Yeah.
So it depends how you use it then.
Yeah,
So
true.
you talk a lot about fire and ice, and you say that ice is where the earth was born, and fire is where the earth is gonna probably destruct itself.
Yeah, the other way around. But
Oh, the other way
yeah.
around?
So
Okay.
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not that good at it. But I love that because your book talks about this.
Mhm.
And you've experienced both.
Yeah.
You've experienced extreme cold and extreme heat. Now, if we delve into the extreme heat and the Nicaragua story with LeGrandJD, how was that experience? And how the fuck did you survive 24 hours inside an active volcano?
No, so again, it was controlled. Like there's not much to really like be careful about. It's extreme, but you can survive pretty easily.
Yeah.
And then it's it's just amazing going there as well, because it's so unique, and you literally witness Earth being born, because the magma goes out, and you see the lava and you feel the heat, and like there's a lot of different emotions going around, and like some stuff you feel. So it's really unique. And I mean, it's just, I'm also very fortunate because I have some crazy friends that now that invite me to do those crazy things.
What did you do when you got that phone call? Etienne, do you want to come to inside a volcano? What did you think? What is the first thought that came to mind when you heard that?
It's always yes. Always yes. And then you start thinking a bit, but I mean, it's not as if we're gonna die, I don't.
You don't get afraid when, I know you're a risk taker, right? And you've gone to extreme conditions, but there's no little bit of fear of like, oh shit, what if it does erupt? What if we do get stuck and we can't get out? There's no fear?
Not really, because I feel like fear is something that might, paralyze you. So I tend not to fear too much, and as well, like if it happens, then it happens. It is how it's meant to be. It's like when we're skiing in Antarctica, there's a lot of crevasses, obviously, but you get roped up, which is the first like safety, not to fall into a crevasse. Then you're super careful where you go. You like watch a lot the glacier and try to understand where to go. So there's a lot of measures that prevent it. And then if it still happens, then I mean, that's how
Bad
it was
luck,
meant to be. Bad luck. Bad luck.
We talked about the stuck in the Arctic, and we realized that here it was a game of perseverance and hope,
Yeah.
right? and luck too, because at the end the currents change and
Yeah.
you got out because of that too, and because you worked hard.
Yeah.
Now, then we talked about the surviving 24 hours inside an active volcano. How, how did it feel being inside a barbecue?
um s- it's actually interesting because there's not a lot to do. So we were just walking around, and taking photos, and again, like, living in the moment, but it's just staring at what's happening beneath you. So it feels amazing again, because you know that it's one of those precious moments that you only live once if you're like very, very, very fortunate.
Mm.
So it just feels special.
And I want to show. I'm very curious, and I like to show people because they're probably thinking the same. Like, how did you take that picture? And that's probably one of the most craziest pictures I've ever seen. And
So basically, you have to picture a big, like, crater
mm,
that has multi levels where you can
layers,
go.
yeah,
Layers.
yeah,
So we were standing on one of those layer, and
yeah,
then probably like 100 meters down from us,
yeah.
there was the lava, like the volcano erupting.
Wow.
And so what you can see on that photo is the smoke of the lava, like the reflection of the
Oof.
lava in the night, and us just walking on our floor, more or less. So it's intense in the way that there's a lot happening all the time.
Yeah.
There's high winds, and then there's rocks falling, and then there's the heat, and you cannot sit because there's like some tiny lava thing that's very stingy. So there's a lot of things going on at the same time, and you really feel it, that it's a rough environment when you're like standing inside this.
That's crazy. How was it like being with LeGrandJD around you? Like, did it help? Did it make it easier to be there?
Yeah, I mean, it's like when we were with Mike. It's very special human beings, and it makes every moment special and easy as well, because you know that you're with a friend. So
Yeah.
it's not like if you're by yourself. So it makes it like way different and enjoyable at every moment, more or less, because it's amazing to be with one of your friends doing that kind of stuff.
That's pretty crazy, to be honest. Um, you talked about the skiing down mountains in the Antarctic, and I told you yesterday, aren't you afraid of like avalanches?
Yeah.
Like, does that happen, or because you said about risk that
Yeah.
you manage risk?
Yeah. So the main risk in Antarctica is not avalanches, because there's not a lot of fresh snow since
Okay.
it's so cold. It might snow, but it's like snowstorm, so there's not
Mm.
a lot of snow that stays on the ice layer. But the crevasses is the most like dangerous thing that there is there,
Because you could fall and die.
because you can fall and die, and also because it's basically mostly glaciers.
Huh.
Like in the area where we ski, there's it's like mountains and glaciers and then ocean.
Uh,
So we basically ski on glaciers all the time, which means crevasses.
uh.
uh but it's the most dangerous, but it's manageable, I think.
I think you're a crazy organized guy that can say yes to crazy experiences, right? But who's able to manage the risk to avoid dying.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love that we covered all these three extreme conditions that most humans would never or probably never experience, right? And you've been in those environments that maybe in the future people are going to call like of the past, because
Mhm.
it might everything might go extinct, from polar bears to ice in the Arctic, because maybe with global warming or I don't know what,
Mhm.
it will stop. So it is truly a blessing to have been able to
Yeah.
experience those things before they end. um I want to ask you about the animals. I'm interested in finding out, like, what did you learn from seeing polar bears or from seeing penguins, walruses or orcas or whales even? I saw the picture of the whale you took. Insane. What did they like? What does it teach you?
Um, I think mostly that nature is amazing, and that if you don't interrupt, it works very, very, very well. Obviously, we've seen. It's funny because when we were in Antarctica, now it's the beginning of summer.
Mm.
So throughout the 2 weeks that we spend there, you see the animals slowly coming back to land
Uh,
to Antarctica, and you first see the tiny krills, and then the penguins, and then the seals. But you see that everything is linked and brings something else. So first the krills, then the penguins, then the seals, then the orcas comes. But it's just like very well made in a way, and it's so precious.
it's crazy how well nature is made. It's a bit crazy to the extent of how everything complements everything.
Yeah.
Do you think it's by accident or it's on purpose?
I think it's just evolution that made it that way.
Okay, okay.
Slowly and slowly and slowly.
Do you not think like it's maybe a higher power because it's too perfect to be that well made?
I think that's like there's some higher power that we can call that way because
Yeah,
we don't yet understand
yeah.
it. Uh, but I think that yeah, everything is just has been made the way it is now because of evolution mostly.
Okay, okay. It's a great answer. Okay, so we've covered some of your most exciting adventures, right? And I want to go back. I feel like going back to where it all started. So, where did the seed come from as a child of, okay, that's what I want to do?
So I didn't have it from the get go. I think I didn't really know what I wanted to do first when I grew up, and it slowly like came like experience after experience. But I grew up in a small town in Switzerland in the Alps, so I spent a lot of time outside, obviously, playing and skiing and hiking because it's amazing nature in Switzerland. And so my parents, they always told me you can do anything you want, but just do it right.
Mm.
And then you won't have any trouble from
Okay.
us.
That's a
So
good that's a good slogan for life.
yeah. So they were very supportive in a way to just like give me wings basically to help me
Mm.
and do what I wanted to do. And when I like finished school, I started an apprenticeship, which is
Mm.
basically learning a job in a company. So you
Mm.
have 3 days at work and then 2 days at school. And this was for 4 years. And I was introduced to photography and videos during that job. And quickly I like it sticked with me because I really enjoyed the fact that you can capture a moment and then it lives on forever, more or less, or at least during your lifetime, you can get back to that moment whenever you want to. And I made a goal for me to just like capture amazing stuff that I can look back to anytime. So this slowly led me to those kind of crazy adventure over like, a lot of years. But I started as everybody, I think, very slowly, making videos for companies in my hometown, traveling, making photos for me. And then over the years, it helped me being better at this craft. And then ultimately doing what I do now, which is still only the beginning.
Yeah. And how did it feel like when it moved from just a passion to, oh shit, I can actually make this my job?
Yeah.
So when did that moment happen?
It really happened when I started working with Pat.
Mm.
That was my first, real job, like monthly job that I had. And it feels, I think, kind of strange because a passion, I think, by definition, is something that you love doing, and
Mm.
you do it for your own pleasure.
Mm.
And then when you transition to work, it's of course amazing, but you kind of lose that passion in a way, because you don't do only what you want anymore. You have to do it for clients, or it's their project. It's not really your project.
Mm.
So now what's interesting is that I think there's a way after some time to really mix those two things, but it just takes time, if you want to still
Mm.
like earn a bit of money and be able to live. But I think there's a way to really connect back your passion and your job
Mm.
and make it as a whole like something that you really love doing.
Yeah.
Because I think it's as in every job now. I cannot say I love doing like the 100% of stuff that I do. There's stuff that I love doing and then stuff that I don't really like doing. But it's a job now. But I think there's a like in the coming years probably a good balance to find between passion and work to make it work together.
That's a good answer because all the kids that are lost think, "Oh shit! When I find that thing, it's that one thing alone that's gonna
Yeah.
fulfill me 100%."
Mm-hmm.
But usually, it's not always like it's okay. That's the thing alone,
Yeah.
right? And it's probably 80% that's gonna fulfill you. 20% of it is like,
Yeah.
I would rather not do this shit.
That's for sure.
But in your book, you said something really powerful, which is nothing. Nothing is more fulfilling than finding your calling and working towards it every step, one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal.
Yeah, and I think because also if you know where you're going and you know why you're doing it, it helps also doing that like small percentage of stuff that you don't like doing, because you know what you're aiming at, so it makes it easier because you know that you have to do shitty stuff to achieve that goal eventually. So it really helps, and I think it's probably the most important advice is that without passion you give up pretty early, I think,
Mm.
like at an early stage. So it helps staying like
Consistent.
consistent and focused. Yeah.
There's a quote that says, if you love the destination, you're not going to go far. But if you love walking, then you can go no matter how much you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, we were talking with Pat, brainstorming ideas as we usually do. And some of his musician friends, Pat asked them, "Why did you start music?" And they said, "It's not because we wanted to be famous or because we wanted money or because we wanted recognition. No, it was because we intrinsically loved performing.
Yeah.
We loved getting on stage. We loved singing music. We loved it." And I think that's a perspective shift that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids are like, as parents are like, especially in the Middle East, do this to get this, right? So work as a doctor so you can impress my friends, right?
Mhm.
But if you do what you love, you're gonna do it right eventually because it's
Yeah.
what you love. You're not gonna stop.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think actually achieving a goal is kind of sad, because then what else? I'm kind of afraid at some point that I achieve most of the thing I want to do, because then you lose that drive in a way. So I think it's why it's very important to, when you reach a goal, then already have the next one in sight, because otherwise I think you get a bit lost in
Lost.
what you do. Yeah.
Although if it's your passion, then you're enjoying kind of the journey. So you're not so caught up in I want to be there. You're like, I enjoy being here. If I like, I'm gonna. It's like going up a staircase,
Yeah.
right? You know you're going up. You just take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
We covered adventures, but a lot of people don't know that you're also an entrepreneur, right? With WOBs and everything. So
Yeah.
talk to us a bit more about this. Is it also risk? This?
Well, I think it's it's risk for sure. It's more dangerous than crevasses and polar bears. It's very interesting as well, because it's probably the most fulfilling part, to
Mm.
be able to build a small company that is still very small, but and then have people joining the company,
Uh.
and then having the right vibe to work together. It's very, very fulfilling, because
Uh.
you can it's tangible. You can really see what you're doing and how it grows. So that's an amazing adventure as well. That's way different than the other ones, but it's one that I really enjoy on the human level, I think, because you create links that are very, very precious, and you get to meet amazing people as well along the way.
It's cool that you said that, Len, because, and I always start mixing all the languages that I know, but because in adventures, there's a lot of risks involved. Do you think these being able to just go out of your comfort zone and take these risks, although they're managed, has helped you in the entrepreneurial space?
Yeah, definitely. Because you get in the mindset where you don't, most of the times, overthink stuff before doing it, you know.
Uh,
You just go and then try to figure it out. That's, I think that's a lot how we move forward with Mark and the company. It's just like we aim for something without,
Especially with Pat.
yeah, especially with that. We aim for something without thinking too much about it, and then if it's meant to happen and if you put in the work and you find the solutions, like 90% of the time I think you can
Mm.
reach that aim. So it definitely helped to not be afraid.
Uh,
And then I think what also it's important to mention, because living in Switzerland and growing up with amazing parents, it's like if everything fails, then I can, you know, still live at my mom's or my dad's and be, you know, pretty chill. Just I have a roof, probably enough food. So I think that's important to mention as well, is that it's, I'm very grateful and fortunate to be born in such a place, because it's also, I think, easier to start
mm.
on your own projects.
You've talked a lot about how your parents are so supportive. Um, Most people don't have parents that are that supportive,
Yeah.
right? So you, Pat, extremely lucky,
Yeah.
right? Because Pat, for example, if his mom wasn't as okay with him taking risks, he wouldn't have ended up a two-time Olympian. And you, if she wasn't okay with, okay, Etienne is going to become an expedition filmmaker. If your mom was Lebanese, then she would have said, "Hey, you're becoming either a doctor, an engineer,
No,
or
that's
no,
for
no."
sure.
So that's precious, bro.
Yeah.
That's so precious.
Very.
How do you feel like they influenced you as a person, your family?
You know, it's first, I think they are amazing examples, because we, when like I was born, it was pretty tough for them, you know. It was a family of three children. I have one big brother, one little sister, and they divorced right after my sister was born, and very low revenue. uh so even in Switzerland, you know, if you have a low revenue, it's pretty tough.
Mm.
And they always made their best so that we wouldn't feel it, and that we would just, you know, grow
Mm.
like everybody else. So that's, I think, the most amazing example, because then when you grow up, you start realizing that kind of stuff. And just being resilient and consistent, and, you know, just doing your best is, I think, a lot of values that they taught me through what they did, which ultimately helps a lot to when you try to grow yourself.
I feel like that's so powerful what you just said, because we don't realize, sometimes we forget how much our parents
Mm.
do for us,
Yeah.
right? Especially when you travel or you go away, that's when you realize it the most, right? And
Yeah.
you've traveled a lot, so
Yeah.
you've spent a lot of time alone.
Because you get time to think about those things as well. And it's, you know, I try to uh like practice being grateful when I first wake up in the morning, and I list three things, and that's like a lot of the time at the top of the list, because I'm so grateful, because without them, then you cannot do, I couldn't do anything.
It is such a thing you need to be grateful for,
Yeah.
because no, when there's sun, you're not like, oh shit, I wish there's the sun.
Yeah.
When the rain comes, you're like, oh shit, now I wish the sun
Yeah.
was here. So it's important that when you have the stuff, or when you have those people around you, or when you have the good things, to be grateful for them,
Yeah.
right? Because we tend to just forget about them when we do.
I think it's one of the toughest challenge for humans because you're very biased and you tend to forget what you have most of the times, or you get used very, very easily.
To what
So
you have.
to what you have, yeah.
You've talked about reflections. You've had a lot of time in those situations where you're in the Arctic, in the Antarctic, in the North Pole, where you're stuck in these crazy situations, or you have nothing to do inside a crater of a volcano. It gives you a lot of time to reflect,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So, what do you reflect about?
Um, so most of the times, because when going to the Arctic or Antarctica, you're on a ship. I try to read because
Mm.
it really helps me, uh, first of all, learning new stuff, and then it channels your mind in a way so that you think about something that you want to think about. Uh, and then I mostly reflect about where I want to go, what I want to do, and also I try to reflect a lot of uh, on being grateful and like feeling good inside,
Mm.
because I think that's the starting base for everything you need. Everything you want to do is first feel good, and then you can do good, but not the other way around, I think.
That's
So
why this podcast is called Rich Inside. We were, you know what, how it happened? I haven't shared this because I just started the podcast. So it actually started, we were a friend in the car, and he's like, bro, it's so cool to have money in the outside. And I said, yeah, but it's more important to be rich inside.
yeah,
So that's where, holy shit,
yeah,
clicked. Podcast name, Rich Inside.
100% agree.
But don't
Is
you feel like, okay, so you talked about the positive reflections. Does sometimes the monkey mind go
oh
in those?
yeah, for sure.
What are
Uh,
the thoughts, or what do you think, or what happens?
it's tough to say like this, but I think there's being human. There's a lot of comparing yourself to others that happens, or you know, losing a bit of self confidence because you do so. And that's probably the toughest part. Is that it's easy to look at anybody else and feel like he's doing more, or he's more amazing, or blah blah blah, or you should do more. And I think the ultimate challenge is to accept that you cannot do more than what you're doing most of the times if you're doing what you love. So just accept that things take a lot of time to happen. And I think that's what I learned during, like, with WABs, with my company, is that things take time and you cannot rush it. Because when I was, I don't know, 4 years younger now, I wanted to rush everything and I
Mm,
wanted to have everything super quick, but life doesn't happen that
mm.
way. So I think as soon as I realized it makes life way easier as well, because you accept uh, the process, and the fact that you cannot really rush it.
It's really cool you said that. The fact that you have to learn that things take time.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool thing about you is that you're so involved in nature, right? And through nature, you can see in front of you that
Mm-hmm.
things take time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a lot of your life philosophy has come from being in nature and learning from what's been happening around you?
I think in a way it does, yeah, because it helps you for a lot of different things, but also because I was fortunate enough to spend time with amazing people that I work with. I mean, Pat is a professional athlete. There's a lot going on. You need a crazy mindset to achieve what he achieved and what he's currently achieving. And I think that's when I started working with Pat. That's when really started being conscious about those things, and started being self conscious, because I was inspired by him and I could see it firsthand.
Mm.
What it takes to be fifth at the Olympics, because I worked with him for 2 years before that. So you see the whole like process happening and see how you need to be focused. And so spending time with people like him or Mike Horn that achieved crazy stuff like that I cannot even imagine, like think about, helps you to then work on yourself and understand yourself and really learn a mindset that then allows you to do what you want to do in the most efficient way.
That's a pretty crazy answer. Like, it's the people around you, how they affect you,
Yeah.
whether that's directly or indirectly.
Yeah. I think that's it affects you like to an extent that we cannot even realize. It's super important to hang with people like you or Pat or Mike, because it unlocks stuff in your brain that you wouldn't even think about otherwise if you were hanging with, I don't know, friends and having beers every day, you know. it's it's different for sure, and it opens your mind to a wider world, I would say.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy because I was completely different before. And I used to hang out the wrong people, super toxic people that used to smoke, drink. And it came a time where I realized, like, okay, if I keep going with them,
Mm-hmm.
5 years along the line, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the awakening moment. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck, no,
Yeah.
no, that's not where I want to be. So I stopped. I cut everyone off that I didn't aspire to be like. And you're right. It makes such a fucking difference.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like,
huge.
but having Pat around already, like, you're gonna work harder
That's for
because
sure.
you can't stop working.
That's for
And
sure.
you, I feel like you're more calm, more peaceful. I think it comes from being in Switzerland and in nature, and
Yeah.
you've learned your stuff, and you know that you're aware.
Yeah. I
You know
think-
that, okay, look, I might be doing a lot of stuff, but it's important also to appreciate.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I think that's a big thing in my like work life is that, for example, I most of the time I try not to work on the weekends, even though we have a shit ton of work
No.
to do. I'd rather work like 12 hours during the week and then have my weekends, because I think it's super important to be able to split a bit. I mean, as much as you can, your free time and work time, because free time is actually work time in a way where it's very beneficial, and then it helps to reflect and think so that you can work more efficiently and more in the right direction. So it's I think
Nice.
it's a good advice as well that I didn't understand at first. I was working crazy, not taking vacations until one point where it was just too much, and I felt it really bad, and then started to learn to do this. But it's a long process.
It is a long process.
A big change of habit, but then it's ultimately it's very beneficial for sure.
Now, because you love adventures, right? And you want you consider yourself an expedition filmmaker. So I would say National Geographics, you would be lucky to have it. Chad.
Hopefully one day.
Would it be something you would be interested in?
I mean, just so starting to aim more for short documentaries
Yeah.
or like even long documentaries, you know, is what I'm trying to do now, because you get to tell amazing stories. Now I'm more used to doing like short videos or 5 to 10 minutes videos, but it's kind of restricted in a way, and you
Yeah.
want to like tell more. So I think going for that kind of documentaries would really fulfill me in an even bigger way, because you can do crazy stuff and there's so much to do.
You wanna post something or release something on Netflix one day? I would
I-
see you actually releasing something. I'm not saying this just to
Maybe.
say, genuinely.
I wouldn't say it's a goal of mine. I feel like if the story is good enough, it might happen like by itself, more or less.
Yeah.
So I'd rather focus on telling amazing stories with amazing people and unique tribes or stuff like this, and then if it happens, it's the cherry on the cake.
Okay, okay. So what would be, because you said you want to make a small doc, right? So what would be that, throw crazy ideas. What would you want to do?
I love the fact of maybe meeting with tribes and documenting
Uh,
their way of life, because I think that they will tend to disappear slowly, because that's the direction in which we go, sadly. So it would be very precious as an experience and as a piece of content to have as well, because then again it lasts forever, and it's, if it disappears one day, then you want to have a like archive or
mm,
this of this. And I feel like they live such in such a special way and different way than we do, that I would really enjoy. I don't know, Mongolia is one idea, or with the Inuits in the Arctic. There's some in Philippines, Indonesia as well that are left. So doing that kind of stuff, hopefully one day. I'm
so
trying to
tribes.
organize. Yeah, I'm trying to organize the first one in Mongolia, but it's hard to
Mm.
reach the right people to really organize it. So we'll see. No rush.
I'm sure you're gonna make it happen. um, I love this mindset because I see you're always aiming bigger and bigger and bigger. But what makes you so powerful is that you're able to appreciate the in betweens,
Mhm.
and that's because if you just enjoy it for that bit when you achieve the thing, then what's the point of all
Yeah.
the things in between, right? The journey.
And I think that's also why you wouldn't last for too long, is if you don't enjoy what's in between, then
S-
you kind of burn yourself.
You burn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is a fact. Um, I have one final question. Who's one adventurer? Because you've collabed with Mike Horn, legendary expeditioner, LeGrandJD, famous expeditioner YouTuber, but crazy Olympic guy, um, Olympic snowboarder. Who would be your dream to collab with next?
Whoa. Mm.
I put you on the spot.
Tough question. Fuad Bustani. No, I think I don't have a name to say, but in like I would say a big, you know, athlete. I
Okay.
just love the fact that professional athletes that are the best at what they do, I just love the effort that
Uh,
that it took them to go there, and they have amazing life stories to share. And I think like if more of these top athletes would share those kind of stories, then it would really help a lot of people around the world.
that's so true. I saw on Netflix documentaries on, for example, Neymar,
Yeah,
chaos,
yeah.
and his life, how crazy it is. And then you see Zidane and his crazy story. And there was one recent one, forgot the name, but it's insane to see the behind the scenes of those athletes
Mm-hmm.
because you only see the highlights,
Yeah,
right? You see
that's
the good stuff, but you don't see the injuries. You
yeah.
don't see the hardships. You don't see what the media does to them. The one was Beckham.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
Beckham. Yeah,
the
yeah,
Mac,
yeah,
insane,
yeah.
bro. That's insane. His dad, since he was young, they shared his story, and you're like, that's crazy, man. His dad was a crazy United fan, and he got recruited, and he became the best legendary athlete of the century.
Yeah. No, it's crazy because you don't realize it until somebody tells the story. So that's what I like about it.
Okay, so we're gonna finish this off, but before we finish, I want to share something about you. You were behind the scenes, behind the camera, right? For I don't know how many years, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
And if you want, you could make the announcement now that you're gonna be in front of the camera when we start releasing the content we've made. Is it something you want to do?
How?
No, just say it. Like, is it because you've been behind the cam, right?
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And now we're gonna release the new content, so
Ah,
you're gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
in
yeah,
front.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, got it.
So you could just say it if you want.
Yeah. So we are launching a multi-episode series
Okay.
with the help of Adi on my past adventures and hopefully future adventures.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be epic. I just
Thank
wanted
you
to
for thank you for your help.
I know I didn't do it to I didn't do it for you to tell me. I just wanted to you to because it's cool that we've shared in this podcast the you behind the cam and
Yeah.
how was your experience then, but now you're gonna be able to share in front of the camera you as the creator.
Yeah.
So I wanted to leave room for you to be able to make the announcement because it's coming soon. So stay tuned. There's a lot of crazy episodes that Etienne is going to launch on his page. There's multiple episodes. It's actually like a small series,
Yeah. it is.
right? Episode 1, I think, is surviving 24 hours. We haven't set it up
no.
exactly,
We'll
but
see.
there's the episodes ready.
We have a
The
bunch
order
ready.
we need to we need to fix. But stay tuned because it's pretty insane. Like Etienne today talked a bit more in depth about the stories, but if you really see the key moments, the crazy emotion that went into it, you would be pretty surprised at how much it took to survive 24 hours inside an active volcano or to be stuck in the Arctic for 33 days and what it took to keep going day by day. So, and shooting a sleeping polar bear, that's another episode. And it explains the story behind it of how it happened. So, stay tuned. Follow Etienne on all his socials. It's all Etienne Claret, right?
Yeah.
So you can check him out Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm gonna say this, and I've probably said it to you before, but my gut feeling tells me that you're gonna be a big expedition creator, like an adventure creator, like on social media. Because genuinely, I feel like you're one of the most nice, likable person I've ever met. No, Anjad.
Thank you. Amjad.
I'm talking in Arabic again.
Shukran.
But it's genuinely true. We were talking, me and Pat, yesterday about you, and I said, what is it about Etienne that I don't know? And he said he's one of the most transparent, most humble, most down-to-earth persons, and I agree. And I think that
Thank you.
so many people would resonate and love and fuck with you. No, genuinely. Like, because you're a sick human.
Thanks,
And
Adi. Likewise.
much
Likewise.
love, and thank you so much for being part of this. This was episode 2. Thank you for being part of it, and stick around for episode 3. Much love, and rich inside to the moon.